It is the 2021 NFL Draft. Buffalo's on the clock at number 30. We have a long wait ahead of us. We'll see if anybody trades for Aaron Rodgers in the meantime.
With the third pick in the 2021 NFL Draft, the San Francisco 49ers select Trey Lance.
You called it, Louie Tee. Nice job.
Man, I just want to say, I'll tell him thank you for everything he's done for me.
That's nice.
Just for raising me to be the young man I am today. Just getting football lessons from him every day.
That trade.
I'm just thankful for him.
An NFL talent.
Cowboys are trading to the Eagles. Wow! Inter-division trade.
Oh man, just being out here, just staying humble, just having a strong work ethic.
Who do you believe they're coming up to get? I'm looking at Devonta Smith. It's just because of the Giants in this division.
Why would they trade up for a receiver?
The Philadelphia Eagles select Devonta Smith, wide receiver.
Well, I guess I got that. I don't know what I'm doing.
Gunshot getting burned.
There's nobody on the couch. They're showing an empty couch on television.
My Chicago Bears select Justin Fields.
Knew it because they were off the couch. They were off the couch. That's why they gave it away. What do you think they were all doing off the couch for?
With the 30th pick in the 2021 NFL Draft, the Buffalo Bills select Gregory Rousseau, defensive end, Miami.
Well, that's a very interesting pick.
Hey Bills fans, JCamman99 here to talk to you about the 2021 NFL Draft first round pick by the Buffalo Bills, Gregory Rousseau. Alright. So, it's hard to really break down this particular pick for several reasons. Number one, when it came to the edge rushers in this draft, I didn't really see any that really stood out amongst the crowd. So, in other words, regardless of what edge rusher we would have picked, I would have had a very similar reaction. I wouldn't have gotten excited. I wouldn't have gotten upset. Going into this draft, in general, I wasn't going to get upset about too much. I think the only thing that would have made me really, really upset is if the Bills picked a first quarterback in the first round, and that's about it. I mean, obviously, there's need positions that the Bills need to address. They got to address edge rusher. They got to address running back. They got to address corner. So, obviously, I want them to do that. If they would have done, wide receiver, for example, that would have been maybe something else that bothered me, or if they drafted a punter or something. You know what I mean? Stuff like that. Okay, so there are some things that would upset me. But for the most part, I find any late round pick in the first round a chance for improvement. That's basically the best way to put it, a chance for improvement. Are we going to improve? Maybe. I mean, time will tell. So let's talk about Rousseau for a few minutes here. So is he an edge rusher? That's a fun question, isn't it? And it's always fun to get a defensive end and then immediately question if he's an edge rusher. I wasn't expecting that from the analysts, but that's what we got. But they made some pretty decent points. Well, first off, he didn't play last year. He opted out, so you have to go back 2 years to look at his stats. And he was actually second behind Chase Young in sacks that year, which sounds awesome until you realize that, well, maybe he didn't necessarily earn those sacks. Sometimes quarterbacks held the ball too long. Sometimes he was maybe the third or fourth guy in. It's just one of those factors. So now, but at the same time, when I even say that out loud, I'm kind of like, a sack's a sack. I mean, you could say that about lots of different scenarios. So I don't really know if that means anything. Sacks are sacks, in my opinion. So I kind of take back my own statement on that. So I consider that a positive. A negative, he had a bad pro day. All right. Maybe he was just having a bad day. I hate to say it. I think sometimes, good pro days help. Absolutely. Bad pro days, I guess, hurt. But at the same time, you can have a really good pro day and still be a bad player, and vice versa. You could have a bad pro day but be a good player. So I don't know. I don't take too much stock in he had a bad pro day theory. So I'm not going to let that bother me too much. But I guess that's why he slipped in the draft. Apparently he slipped. He was supposed to be top 15 at one point. I did a mock. I didn't even have him going in the first round. So to me, we actually reached a little. But again, like I said, the DNs were all very even, so it didn't really matter too much. Now, I know this is not why we drafted him, so I don't want anybody to overreact to what I'm about to say here. But when I saw his highlights, he reminded me of Tremaine Edmunds, which I realize is a little interesting because obviously he's the middle linebacker. He's the quarterback of the defense. So why am I talking about Edmunds? And honestly, I'm talking about Edmunds because at some point we're going to have to make a decision on Edmunds. When we try to sign Josh Allen, I really feel like Tremaine Edmunds is going to be a sacrifice. I feel like he's going to get cut. Matt Milano signed, which was amazing, but I don't see us signing both our first-round picks next year. I just don't see that happening. So I feel like this pick could be a potential replacement option for Tremaine Edmunds. Now, that's a lot to say there. That means he'd have to switch from being an edge rusher to a middle linebacker. Could he do it? I don't know. That's a big question. So, that's just something I kind of see because the one thing he's good at is playing in the inside, and just seeing the highlights again made me think of Edmunds. So, and some of the inside work actually made me think of Kyle Williams too, like how Kyle would just sneak through. And sometimes you want a good 3-tech tackle that's not like a big guy, but somebody who could squeeze through the lines. So maybe that's what they're thinking. But the idea that most of the analysts thought that he was basically an edge rusher project is not really that appealing. I'm not going to lie to you guys. And one of the analysts even were like, well, worst case scenario, you can play D tackle. And I guess I was just talking about 3-tech. But it's like, do I really want this guy to be tackle? Not really. I want our edge rusher to be an edge rusher, But we do have a lot of things coming up with the line. Hughes is probably going to retire. Addison's not going to stick around very long. Who knows what we're going to do with that Oliver in the end. Starla Tule. So we might have to revamp that whole line in the next few years. So, and AJ Epinesa hasn't impressed thus far. So, a lot of the line this year is going to be experimentation with all these guys and see, who can do what, who's going to be sticking around, and who can still do well for the team. So, am I upset with this pick? No. Am I excited about this pick? Not really. And the reason I'm not excited is because I don't think there was one pick in this draft that I could honestly say was going to change the entire team to make the team itself better. I just did not think that was going to happen with any pick. The only exception to that was running back, if we were able to do that. But, as you saw in the draft, the 2 top running backs went before the Bills even picked. So we didn't even have the option. Actually, I did predict that in my mock draft. So that's fine. If they fell to us, great. If they didn't, that's fine. It was funny, Mel Kiper Jr. was even talking about us taking Javonte Williams in the draft, and you know what? Maybe that's a second-round option. I don't know if he'll fall all the way down to our second-round option, but we'll see. Maybe we'll get lucky there. I don't know why, but for some reason I would love to add somebody from UB, like a Jaret Patterson. Not even in Sunday, Friday, but that would be like a 5th, 6th round option just to intermix that guy. I thought he did pretty well for UB. But honestly, no. I'd rather get a corner and a running back next. I would want to get a running back in the very next round. And yeah, even though Brandon Beane doesn't have the best second-round track record, good first-round track record, not a good second-round track record. As much as I hate to say this, Maybe we trade up for that third running back, Javonte Williams, if he's available. If he's like 5 or 10 picks away, give up our fifth or something next year. It's fine, because we do got to improve the running back situation. We just do. I'm sorry. So let's see. Is there anything else I want to say about Gregory Rousseau? No, I don't think so. There was one thing that they did say. They mentioned how like scouts were kind of down on him, but like coaches like him. And I thought that was interesting because the Bills have proven that they can coach players up. I'll give you 2 examples. Josh Allen, Tyler Bass. Josh Allen needed so much work when he got in the league, and look where he is now. Same thing with Tyler Bass. We saw it all in 1 year. He was horrible at the beginning of the year. I was like, oh my God, why did we get rid of Hashka? What are we doing? And then he's like, I don't want to say one of the best kickers in the league. That seems too big of a compliment there, but he played a lot better. Let's put it that way. And that was coaching. Like, that was pure coaching there. And so I think they're thinking, oh, maybe we can coach this guy to be an edge rusher. Maybe. I would love to give you guys something more concrete. Be like, oh yeah, I think he's the guy, or no, he's not. Now, if I had to compare him to AJ Epinesa, obviously I was kind of more excited about AJ Epinesa last year, and that was because I think I was being a little naive. He was a guy who fell to us in the second round, who I had graded at first round value, whereas this year it's the opposite. We picked a guy in the first round who I graded a second round value. So, kind of opposite land there. So that's probably why I was a little higher on AJ Epinesa last year. And I was always worried about his speed, not to talk about him, but so we'll see. I mean, luckily we have, the good news is, look, we got Addison, we got Hughes, so they're still there. So we have a whole other year to figure this out. If they don't pan out, we can draft again, we can go to free agency again. But hey, we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens with this guy. All right. Well, that's all I got. I'm very curious what everybody else thinks of him. Do you think he's going to be the next Jerry Hughes? Do you think he's going to be the next Aaron Maybin? What's your thoughts on him? I really would like to know. And tell me if you think he could possibly move to linebacker. I'm very curious if anybody else had that thought as well. And again, tomorrow, if I had to throw a name out there, Javonte Williams. But we'll see. We'll see what they end up doing. Or Asante Samuel Jr. For corner. That'd be a good one, too. All right, guys. This was a little long. Thank you so much for watching this video. Please make sure to like and subscribe to my channel. And as always, take care.